Thank you, State Secretary Koivuläksi, for these insightful and also really inspiring words. For our next guest, we'll be focusing on one skill set in particular, cybersecurity skills. To give us more of an insight into why it is so inherent that we strengthen cybersecurity skills across all educational stages, I am very happy to announce our next guest, Shannon Jaritz. Shannon is Vice President Customer Success at SoSafe, and we're all very much looking forward to your keynote titled The Human Factor in Cybercrime, Why Awareness Matters More Than Ever. And with that, Shannon, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Let me share my screen. All right, great. Well, thank you very much. Like she said, my name is Shannon Jaritz. I am the VP of Customer Success in SoSafe, and I am here to talk to all of you this morning about the importance of the human factor in cybersecurity and in cybercrime. So it's no surprise, I'm sure, to any of you that cyber attacks are the new normal. It's something that we've gotten used to living with and hearing about in the news, and we're really just at the beginning. It's been the case already for several years now that cybersecurity is the #1 business risk to all of our organizations. Just last month, there were several examples of even some very large German airports websites being targeted as an attack, which caused outages. But these attacks are absolutely not limited only to these large kind of multinational corporations and heavy industry, the way that they may have been at one time. So you can see here, I was able to pull just a few examples of real life examples of this occurring and the education sector being targeted. I'm also sure that many of you in your personal lives have experienced receiving a phishing email or a suspicious SMS message that was highly personalized, very targeted, and rather alarming, really. And this is all the direct result of what we are kind of facing as the industrialization of cybercrime. So there's a bit of an outdated notion of what cyber criminals look like as sort of independent lone wolf actors making attacks one by one. The reality is actually something much more significant and far more sophisticated, which is international or organizations of highly sophisticated criminals with a high level of professionalization in what they're doing. An entire industry has been created from this dark idea of cybercrime. And there are a number of trends that we're seeing in how the way they are accessing and carrying out these successful attacks recently. So the first that I'll talk about today is the concept of hybrid work, which I also know will not be new to many of the people here today. We're now 3 years on from the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the way that we all work and collaborate on a day-to-day basis has changed significantly. We have, even for organizations who have returned to in-person work, we have there's been a huge increase in the number of digital tools that we use every day, and the way that we collaborate has simply changed forever, and we will never go back to what it was like before that. But this has also increased our vulnerability and the potential and points of access where individuals could be targeted and a successful attack carried out. So in a survey that we conducted via SoSafe, 3 out of 4 of our respondents, so a full 75%, agree that hybrid work has made cyber attacks more likely. So the more distributed and decentralized our workforces become, the more of a potential there is for threat actors to access and successfully attack our peers and our employees. However, about 80%, there's some hope here, because about 80% believe that this can be resolved through both technical and organizational measures. Another major trend we're seeing in how this industrial cybercrime operates is the concept of news hijacking. So it's also no secret that we are living through especially challenging times, from the ongoing pandemic, global wars, increasing economic crises. There's just a lot going on. It's a highly emotional, rather scary time for many people, and there's this hypervigilance of constant awareness of what's going on in the world around us, which is incredibly important. But it also provides a brand new and serious opportunity for threat actors to leverage that awareness and the human behavior and strong emotions that are evoked by some of those things going on in the news cycle. So to provide one example, many of these cyber organizations are using the news in ways that they can create phishing mails and things that are going to appeal to that sense of urgency and those high emotions that people have today about what they're reading in the news. So as one example, a phishing simulation mail that we conducted in SoSafe that leveraged this concept of urgency and the emotions evoked by any kind of coronavirus update, over half of the recipients of that phishing simulation mail interacted with and clicked on it. Obviously, that was a protected environment when a simulation was going on, but this is a very real world example of how there can be real life consequences and how those emotions can be leveraged by bad actors. The third trend, and this has been all over the news, so I'm sure many of you are very familiar with and probably excited about the new possibilities that artificial intelligence, that AI is bringing to our new work world. With all of the good, there also becomes opportunity for bad, unfortunately. And one thing that we have seen recently is not only can AI sources help generate a higher volume of phishing mails, but they're also even more convincing than handwritten human-made mails. They can mimic the language styles to personalize and further target people. There's simply a lot of innovation going on in this space. It also is making AI is also making a lot of these efforts more scalable, whereas a human may be able to write 10 or 15 phishing mails a day and blast it to a large number of people. The possibilities and the volume using artificial intelligence are really endless. So there's a scalability factor that is now being introduced with the explosion of applied AI that we're seeing today. So that's a lot of bad news and perhaps unhappy trends. But there is some hope here, which is that the human factor cannot be ignored. We know that about 85% of the successful attacks that are being carried out originate with a human factor failure. So a mail that's clicked on or a password that is shared unintentionally. So how do we address that? What do we do about it? Security awareness is the answer, really. So to give kind of one example of this in action, we know that about 3.5 billion phishing mails are sent every single day. With all of the kind of technical components in place, things like spam filters, firewalls, all of those hard tech prevention things, about 600 million of them are still getting through into the inboxes of our employees and peers. And without any significant and intentional awareness training, about half of that 600 million, so 300 million of those are being opened, interacted with, clicked on, responded to every single day. So as you can see, the biggest lever that we really have to pull here is this idea of people empowerment and really making the people who are receiving these mails our strongest layer of defense. From a study that Gartner conducted more recently, there is an extreme level of increasing awareness of this vulnerability and the desire to address it. So about 90% of cybersecurity organizations recognize that awareness is important in their organization. However, only 40% of those about 40% would rate the awareness of their employees today as very low. So we have a security awareness gap here that really needs to be addressed. But the good news is that the overwhelming majority of respondents understand this challenge and are invested in creating a security culture and improving awareness in their organizations through intentional efforts. What that really means is we need to make a significant change in every industry, from from security training as a one-time compliance-based, maybe annual workshop sort of methodology into creating real behavioral change. We need to think about how we can best empower those people to be a layer of defense for us. And that security training needs to be much more holistic. We need to adopt the principles of psychology and behavioral science to really focus on empowerment of all of these people through things like positive reinforcement and gamification, to rather than think about them as the greatest threat to our security strategy in our organizations, to our greatest level of cyber defense, and moving towards an environment of really creating security culture in our organizations, not just checking a box in security compliance. So thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Shannon, for these super valuable and interesting insights that you had for us. And thank you for your time. And yeah, I wish you a great rest of your Thursday today.
Thank you.